Okay, guys, and welcome back to game number 3 between Blow Your Mind and XPC. The first matchup of the night also in 3 games. This game going 3 games, so quite a long night. Blow Your Mind taking game number 2 after XPC had quite a significant lead. XPC winning game number 1 quite convincingly. Game number 3 is going to be an interesting one. Who's actually going to come up on top? Whoever, of course, wins goes up to play Refugees in the best out of 5 finals tomorrow. I'm Reddit. Joining me is Prophecy. How you doing, bud?
Yeah, long night, but Blow Your Mind played very, very well in game 2. To be honest, game 1 was a bit of a... No, I'd love to use the word, but I can't. But it wasn't a great statement for BO3 in his drafts. Very, very greedy. Game 2 again looked kind of greedy. They weren't sitting in the best position possible. A lot of the team fight that they wanted so badly was getting dodged by XPC. But XPC, they lost that one pick off on their arena and ended up losing a single lane of racks. And from then on, Blow Your Mind just always seemed to have control of the game up against XPC. And unfortunately, they were able to pull it through. And XPC fans, or just fans of rares in general, probably not what they expected or wanted all that much.
Yeah, well, let's have a look right now. The once again, the Jakira being banned out as well as the Queen of Pain. XPC's decided to ban out the Shadow Fiend and the Doom. So Doom still having that 100% ban rate during this tournament, well, for today so far anyway. And Blow Your Mind went for that first pick Wisp. So XPC has to decide, well, the most usual counter to the Wisp is just picking up the Winter Wyvern. Then even if you have the Tiny, you normally don't mind the Wisp TPing in because you curse the Wisp and then the Tiny just beats the Wisp down with like 3 shots. But XPC has decided to go for Bane Darks here, leaving up the Undying pick. And this is going to force XPC to either ban out the... Well, there's 3 heroes that they have to ban out with this Wisp. It's going to be the Tiny, of course, the Chaos Knight, and last but not least, the Legion Commander from, of BO3. And you only have 2 bans, so you have to pick 2 of those 3.
Yeah, that's not to say that you have to ban out a whole bunch of other potential heroes as well. So, just counter-picking or counter-banning Bone is not necessarily the best idea in the world. Since, they could get themselves the Broodmother. And, if you don't have any way of dealing with the Broodmother, it becomes quite the nightmare scenario. But yeah, interesting that they actually went for the Bane as opposed to the Winter Wyvern. That would have been a spectacular pick off there against, or a spectacular pick against the IO. Yeah, again, they seem to just be avoiding the Tusk tonight, the Romania. So very, very interesting that they give no thought to the roly-poly.
Yeah, well, we saw Tusk.
Bear.
We saw Tusk in the first matchup between.
No, the third matchup we saw him. Other than that, I don't even remember bans against that hero, if I'm honest.
Well, let's have a look here.
This is like the 3rd most banned hero of the patch, and we're not seeing this thing banned at all or picked. Like something's not right there. If you know what I'm saying, it's just it's weird.
Yep. And Ancient Apparition being banned out now by Blow Your Mind.
It's just very, very... You'd think that a hero that strong would get picked up. And particularly Undying plus Tusk, that could do a number on the side of XPC. They don't really have any way of controlling that either. So, bans coming up from XPC, they will remove the Ember Spirit. That's an interesting one, because I don't think Blow Your Mind would have grabbed that when they have the IO. So, Tiny's still on the cards, yeah.
Tiny's still on the cards, of course. The Winter Wyvern also still left in the pool. The Ancient Apparition being banned out by Blow Your Mind, so you might even see an Alchemist pick coming through from them. Ancient Apparition is one of the biggest counters to an Alch, purely due to you can't regen. And that's the thing about Alch. You don't have high base armor, you don't have high HP to start off with, but you regen very fast with your ultimate on. So XPC do decide to pick up the Slaughter. Slaughter has been a go-to pick for a lot of the international teams. But Blow Your Mind decide, okay, well, up against the Slaughter, we'll just go with the Windrunner. There's a Darkseer there. There's also Bane. Windrunner should be able to at least pick off quite a few of these heroes. But Darkseer Slaughter is quite tanky, quite hard. It's, quite an interesting one.
Sorry, she'll definitely need some form of damage in the late game to deal with those two. I don't really know if these are two heroes that you want to necessarily be targeting. I mean, Darkseer, I think if you get a silence for him, it should be enough. Slardar, obviously, he's going to be the hard carry here. So, again, timings on these teams. I mean, we've been talking about power spikes all night, and it does seem as though, once again, XPC is going for a power spike. I mean, unless they grab something that's very, very potent for the mid lane. But again, probably around that 40-minute mark, because I don't see Slardar being, as potent as the Wind Ranger in the late game.
Yeah, no, definitely not, and especially up against an Undying that controls the early game completely. Keep in mind though, XPC did ban out Bone 7's Legion Commander because, I mean, we have seen that on the international scene for Kaipi, the Wisp, Legion Commander is quite strong. Let's have a look here. It's their last pick. They're taking quite a bit of their time to actually decide up here. Is it going to be that Winter Wyvern or not? I mean, Winter Wyvern Darkseer combination is extremely strong. So I'm quite surprised that they're taking this long and, not just picking that up off the bat.
Yeah, I mean, it's a mini black hole for all intents and purposes. So that would be definitely fantastic. And you got the Slaughter coming over the top with that. Then you could maybe just get some kind of mid laner that, deals AoE damage, and you should be fine. So I think for right now, the Winter Wyvern should be picked up here, unless they're trying to save her for the last pick. But to me, that doesn't make sense. Rather keep your mid laner open so that you can try and counter pick the Wind Ranger if she's going mid there.
Yeah, well, let's have a look here. There's actually going to be a counter pick Tiny coming up here for the side of XPC. So quite interesting to actually see that. I mean, normally you see that counter pick Tiny directly after the Wisp, or otherwise not at all. And Tiny is strong, but he's not as strong without the Wisp. Who are you going to throw in the middle lane, though? It can't. I mean, Slaughter or Tiny both can get completely crushed versus a Windrunner, even if they have a healing support with them the whole time. If it's not a Wisp, you run out of mana with a Tiny the whole time. Sure, at level 2 you can do a full stun toss combo, but Windrunner actually has Windwalk, so she will be able to get out of that one alive. BlowYourMind decide to pick up a Luna here, so actually going for quite early aggression. Early push, and as soon as they break the high ground, that's just your racks gone.
Yeah, I think the Tiny might actually be a support here. I mean, if you think about it, Bane sleep into Tiny stun toss combo, that'd be pretty damn brutal against most things that you don't want to be fighting anytime soon. So I think it's actually a support Tiny, which I haven't seen for quite a while. I'd love to see how BlowYourMind is going to try and counter ban, though, because they obviously have to be assuming that Tiny is the 40. I mean, the last time I saw a Tiny with no IO was Ferrari 457. And, okay, I mean, admittedly, he was, I think, 14-0-1 on his mid laner before he decided to maybe pick up something else. But, yeah, that Tiny was brutal, and BlowYourMind will actually ban out the Tusk. So, assuming that at least one of these is the mid laner.
Yeah, no, definitely. Let's have a look here. The last pick is going to come up from XPC. That's going to tell us exactly what's going to be happening. I mean, it can also be a support Slaughter. We've seen that quite a bit. But XPC, they have 17 seconds left and not a lot of reserve time either. So they have to pick quite quickly here. BlowYourMind, I mean, I wouldn't even be surprised if they decide to go for, believe it or not, something like a Drow here, just to stack with an Aura and just to go for all-out push. But XPC actually going for that Timbersaw. So they have 3 potential offlaners here. They've got 2 potential mid, well, actually with the Darkseer, 3 potential mids. With a Timbersaw possibly. I mean, I did see a mid Timbersaw. I think that was in one of the Southeast Asia games beginning of the year. No, end of last year. I think that was leading into DAC. I actually saw a mid Timbersaw, and that was quite an interesting one. Especially if you are on, well, if you're on the Dire side, it's a little bit better because you've got 2 angles of actually going in with that chainsaw and actually making it out after that. And Storm Spirit from BlowYourMind. So offlane Wind Ranger, Undying, most likely. Do we see a aggro try coming through here from BlowYourMind?
I have absolutely no idea.
With the safe lane
Storm
Storm
Spirit,
Spirit,
it's going to be a safe lane. We're probably going to see dual lanes here. Come With Me is on the Storm Spirit. We could very well see Wind Ranger Undying off lane, I think, with the IO Luna safe, and then Storm Spirit in the mid lane. We have Kiana picking up the Tiny. So Tiny versus Storm Spirit in the mid lane. Tiny
I
without
doubt
the
it
help
will
of
be
IO.
the
That's going to
Storm
be an
Spirit.
interesting matchup, I think, and one that could make or break the game. Storm has obviously been heavily nerfed recently, so it is going to be a bit more of a tricky one for him to come out ahead there. But up against the Tiny, I think he should be okay.
I doubt it will be a Storm Spirit that's mid. It's come with me picking it up. So we'll most likely be seeing the Storm Spirit in the safe lane. So if the Tiny does go mid, Tiny will be up against Cancel. Cancel is the mid player for Blow Your Mind. And Wind Ranger, Tiny, Tiny's going to struggle.
Yeah, Tiny's definitely going to struggle. I don't know. It just seems to me more logical to send the Storm Spirit there because Cancel can at least be useful with the Undying, whereas the Storm Spirit is really just going to be doing nothing at all. I mean, he's got a fairly easy lane up against the Tiny anyway. So I think it would just make more sense to my mind to send Cancel onto that off lane with the help of the Undying.
Well, we'll have a look right now to actually see where they do decide to go. I mean, quickly having a look here. Storm Spirit drawing the line out towards middle. I mean, I haven't really seen Come With Me, play mid, so it's going to be interesting. BO3 is playing the Luna right now. They're actually scouting around their jungle, hoping that XPC is actually going to be moving in towards that lane. But I would not be surprised if we just see a solo safe lane Storm Spirit with a complete aggro on the side of Blow Your Mind. BO3 is the off lane hero, so him picking up a Luna, it will at least be a dual lane, and we do see even more rotations coming through. I mean, it's a lot of damage that they can do on this off lane.
Yeah, quite a bit. But I think let's get to some introductions quickly. For the side of BYM, we have BO3. He's going to be picking up the Undying. Cancel will be running the Wind Ranger to the mid lane, as you called it. BO3 will be handling the Luna. Bobo on the IO, and the safe lane will be run by Come With Me on the Storm Spirit.
Yeah, on the side here of XPC, it is going to be Keanu on the Tiny. Meanwhile, it is Razvan and Masakari going towards the bottom lane. Meanwhile, top is going to be a dual lane as well. Illusionist on the Slaughter, the big fish, and Synergy on the Darkseer. So quite an interesting mix-up of, mix of heroes here, to say the least, from both teams. But let's have a look. I mean, Storm Spirit can get killed quite easily with a Slaughter as well as a Darkseer, but I think after like level 2 or level 3, they might actually just rotate a support to actually go and help him out.
Yeah, quite likely. It really depends on how much they get going down on the spot lane here. I don't see them getting, the best chances for a kill. Razvan can just lock one of them down with a Nightmare, and Masakari obviously has the Timber Chain to get himself away, so that should be pretty difficult for them to deal with. And Come With Me, I think, might very well just get left out to dry here at the moment. And
well, we do see an engagement here on the bottom lane.
There's not a whole lot that he can do. That we can already see that they're going to start pulling the creep wave and they're going to start diving. And yeah, Come With Me is going to dive very, very soon here as Illusion is going to try and move around. Does have the stun available, but Come With Me doing a good job of dodging, and there the stun does finally come out. Come With Me should be going down here for the first blood.
Yeah, well, he actually does salve up just at the right time, and he does get the first blood in turn. Meanwhile, on bottom lane, though, they did try and get another kill, but very well played by the Bane to get out. So Come With Me getting that, timing that salve perfectly, and I mean, this is just going to help him out so much up here on the top lane. I mean, he's already level 3 right now.
Yeah, that's fantastic play there by Come With Me in the end, as he just jukes long enough and moves back into the tower range, which means that XPC, both heroes on low HP after trying to run for, chasing down for so long, and end up losing the hero. He gets the first blood, which is critical given that he's in a 1v2 situation, and he's not very, very potent until at least level 6.
Yeah. Now guys, please note, Storm Spirit was nerfed quite heavily in the last patch, especially with his ball lighting now costing quite a lot more mana. I mean, that's why Storm Spirit, after that nerf, just like has hardly ever been picked up. I think he was picked up a few times and ended up with under 30% win rate.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, it's not only that, it's like a lot of indirect nerfs. They nailed the Bloodstone, which was like, the default pickup for him in the early stages. The Orchid was still, I think, Orchid was untouched if I remember correctly, yeah. But the Bloodstone made such a difference to the Storm Spirit. He could go in, absolutely YOLO, and once they nerfed that, it meant that he was basically just sort of irrelevant, and it affected the Leshrac as well, since both those heroes are so dependent on the item.
Yeah, well, middle lane though, a little bit of engagement from the hasted up Tiny. But I mean, Cancel, let's just have a quick look at the last hits and the denies. 15 for 7 versus the Tiny's 9 and 1. Just completely dominating this in the middle lane. And bottom lane though, ooh, Masakari just manages to get out of that one. The Undying has been slept up, does not have a tombstone. I mean, only level 2. Actually went for a level in Soul Rip.
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting. Usually you'll only see the Soul Rip get picked up after the tombstone, maybe feeling that there's enough heroes in the, or, you know, enough creeps in the area to justify it, and does now use it to heal himself up. But
very well played there in the middle lane, coming through here by Keanu, as well as the Slardar. Basically, Slardar split up to this side, and the stun came in from the Tiny, threw him over, got the crush, and a very nice kill up onto the Windrunner.
Yeah, clever usage of the clever usage of the mechanics of Dota to, you know, set up an easy kill for themselves. And Keanu, we said he's going to have a bit of a rough time in the mid lane. Yeah, actually, if we look at it, he's only one last hit behind, and you know, 5 or so denies. But given that Tiny wasn't expected to even come close to winning this lane, it's fairly decent.
Yeah, well, bottom lane though, oh, nearly actually popping the Wisp instantly. I mean, that was quite close. That's one thing you have to remember up against the Timbersaw. If you fight around the trees, that's pure damage coming through from the Whirling Death. They do try and do a little bit more, but of course having 2 levels up in reactive armor is going to keep him safe and keep him alive for a little while longer. And Slardar was just killed by a neutral creep, probably just going for a quick base return. But bottom lane still, I mean, even more engagement. They still want to go onto Timbersaw, and Timbersaw is just hugging the trees the whole time. I mean, you're going to take a lot of damage if you want to fight the Timbersaw, you know, next to trees.
Yeah, I mean, I think I know why he hasn't actually grabbed the tombstone. Is because, like, the tombstone against the Timbersaw is fairly useless. All it's going to do is proc his reactive armor, and that would be majorly problematic since it will just make him much harder to kill. So that's probably why he hasn't gone for that level in the tombstone. But definitely you'd want a couple more levels in perhaps the decay, as we see another kill, this time up in, again, the mid lane with Illusionist and Keanu combining well again.
Once again, well, you know, this time throwing the Slardar onto the Windranger. Windranger did use her you know, Windwalk, so she did not take any damage from the Slither and Crush. But unfortunately after that, you know, you're dead. Trying to turn around, did have a level 6 up, trying to get the kill on the Tiny, very close. Unfortunately, Tiny did manage to get out of that one alive, and that's a 2-for-1 going in favor of XPC at this point. Maybe they should leave the Wisp here just a little bit to, you know, try and help Cancel, because Cancel is sitting on 0 and 2.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is, what does the Wisp really do in this lane to help Cancel out? I mean, sure, it allows him to control the lanes a little bit better, as Razvan's actually going to catch out the poor little bubble of fun.
Oh.
What on earth happened there? I think Razvan almost stuffed that one up.
Yeah, that was a series of unfortunate events from both the two. I think Wisp was just like, oh, frick, okay, I'm like, you know, I'm dead, and then the Nightmare got cancelled and he started running away, then he went back in. Quite funny though, but anyway, Wisp is coming in straight onto the Undying. There's more TPs coming through right now, and it is actually going to be Keanu here. He does manage to get the stun as well as the toss straight onto Buffney, and of course the Tombstone just gets popped instantly. It's only a level 1 Tombstone. That's another 2 heroes down, and XPC once again flexing their muscles early on in the game.
Yeah, and BYM again, off to a slow start to say the least, yeah, and I mean, it's not a lineup that you would have expected XPC to do so well with, particularly given that they don't really have the most fantastic heroes on the lanes, but somehow they're making it work. I mean, just showing good understanding of the mechanics of Dota, using the tiny toss to set up kills onto Cancel in the mid lane. The Slardar Crush is doing quite a bit of work here. I mean, again, Cancel wasn't expected to lose this lane, and he's currently 0 for 2. And I mean, yes, he's winning on the last hits and denies, but Tiny's been a lot more active. He's been setting up kills across the map, and it's becoming a problem because, I mean, Bone7 is getting decent amounts of farm here, but what is he really going to be providing when the Tiny's just, you know, blinking and finishing off?
Oh, Neely managing to get the kill there onto the Wisp, but all of a sudden overcharges coming in as well as magic sticks. Now they want to try and counter engage, and are they actually going to be able to get anything? Nope, it's just the Timbersaw. Windranger actually did manage to get a double kill here on the middle lane. I mean, that's extremely big for her. Just a quick shout out to Reese, man. He's like, do they notice me? Do the casters notice me? We notice you. Yes, we notice you.
Yeah, I mean, very, very well played in the mid lane. TP in from the Undying actually helping set it up, and Cancel getting that power shot off right before the Slardar able to TP out. So XPC trying their luck a third time. This time BYM is more than ready and waiting as Buffney allows him to turn things around. Razvan might very well eat a death here. Bone7 is on the hunt, as is Come With Me, and that'll actually finish him off as the Tiny comes in. Not a whole lot of anything he's able to do there with that stun.
Well, that was a double stun. Unfortunately, not being able to, you know, like you said, get anything though. I mean, it's all of a sudden 4 for 4. Once again, Blow Your Mind. They were a little bit behind. Just switched over to net worth. Dogs here might actually drop from this. Is there going to be a shackle? It does not latch, unfortunately. And cancel, well, he won't be able to get anything further. Meanwhile, though, bottom lane, they do manage to get the pick off on the Luna. That's quite a big pick off. Luna, of course, did not even use the Eclipse. There's a little bit of laughing going on. And, well, that's 2 heroes just instantly being popped and burst. And that's the thing with the side of XPC. They've got so much initial burst. If you can survive through that initial burst, you should be able to win the fight. But if you don't survive that initial burst, you might even drop a tower as soon as we start hitting the 13-14 minute mark.
Yeah, I mean, most of that tower damage is going to be coming from the Tiny. The rest of the team doesn't really hit all that hard. But the one thing is that XPC does have a problem with is that there are 4 melee heroes with 1 ranged. So if they get caught out here, they could get pretty quickly blown apart. And I mean, the thing is, they don't have a lot of ability to catch the Storm Spirit. So if he gets off to a nice start, he could, you know, get very, very problematic for the whole of XPC to deal with.
Yeah, well, having a quick look at the net worth, 3,500, 3,500 for the Storm and the Tiny respectively. 3-3 for the Darkseer, 3-3 for the Windrunner, 3-3 for, well, 3-2 for Bone7. So a very close game. Everyone evenly spread out. And then, of course, it's the 4 supports sitting at around between 1-2 and 1-6. This game is literally neck and neck. Only a 500 net worth lead for XPC at this point. Experience-wise, also sitting around 600, 700 experience. I mean, this game is completely evened out. And we do have another Tiny slaughter combo that they might want to try and do here on the middle lane.
Yeah, I think they see Bobo there as well, so probably not going to take too much of a chance there. And Bobo will be the one sent to grab the rune. Okay, not quite certain. They grabbed the rune already. Looks like it.
Yep. Well, Luna, well, you know, Bone7 on this Luna going for that Belt of Giant Strength. So, do you think we might actually be seeing something like a Sanjay Yasha Luna coming up here, or what do you think that Belt of Giant Strength is going to be building into?
Might just be going. Wait a minute. She's going Sage's Master. She's got the Ring of Aquila, I think, coming out now. No, yeah, Ring of Aquila coming out, and yeah, maybe going S and Y just to get that fight going early, which is not too bad of an idea. Could definitely see that going. Get the Silence first just to get a little bit more tanky, and then start working away from there.
Yeah. Well, Cancel and Bobo, of course, farming up here in the jungle. They do get scouted out by the Radiant Observer ward. That's quite deep, but unfortunately they won't be able to do anything about this. Top lane though, wait, there's a smoke up coming through here by Keanu. Are we going to see any further movements coming in? Unfortunately, there's no stun crush combo, but the blink is there, as well as, well, there's the stun. The stun toss crush combo coming through, and that bursts anyone, even a Wind Ranger that has just cast Windwalk.
Yeah, that's a pretty brutal combo if you think about it. I mean, there's not a whole lot they can do. As Boba is the next target, crush comes through. Illusionist just picking up kills left and right at the moment, and going to TP himself all the way back to base. So yeah, he's close to his Blink Dagger as well, and that's a pretty scary combo to come flying out of the mists. You know, it's just two double stuns. It's not really the most entertaining of presents to get.
Well, Come With Me manages to TP out just in time. Tiny's coming in, looking for something. Unfortunately, he won't find anyone. But there's 3 heroes down here on the bottom lane, so you might start seeing a little bit more pressure from, you know, Blow Your Mind. But XPC, I'm just trying to think here. I mean, it's not a big advantage that XPC has, around 1,500 net worth in their favor. But, you know, having a look at the Timbersaw sitting with a Soul Ring. Oh, wait, let's have a look here. There's a smoke movement. So before I continue on the item progression, smoke rotations coming through. It won't actually find anyone, but this does mean the middle tower will, in all likelihood, drop.
Yeah, I mean, XPC will probably... Well, actually, they're going to try and backstab it with Illusionist as well as Keanu moving that way. And, I mean, if BYM is not careful. They could end up just trading a lot of kills here. Illusionist sneaks in as tower up on top goes down.
Well, the tombstone is actually dropped right now. Are we going to see any kind of engagement coming through? Tiny takes a lot of damage to start off with, but unfortunately no one has dropped just yet. The first person to drop is the Tiny. The Storm Spirit did manage to get out of that one alive. Now they're going to try and come in for the counter engagement. The huge Bane ultimate coming through, probably the longest one I've seen in my life. That's a 2-for-1 trade-off at this point. And unfortunately, well, Luna's coming in now as well. Does manage to get the, well, the Wisp does manage to get the counter, the Nightmare countered off. Unfortunately though, BO3 might actually just drop one more stun, one more Slither and Crush needed. And well, Illusionist might actually just get 2 heroes from now. But BO3 turns around and he will, well, he actually does drop after getting the kill with the Lucid Beam. That's a 2-for-4 trade-off. I mean, XPC, well, sorry, that was a 2-for-5 trade-off, actually having a look at that. The fight just took so long. The Undying actually respawned.
Yeah, that's I don't even know how to describe what the hell happened in that fight. It looked like XPC had the perfect initiation, then they didn't, and then BYM looked like they turned it around, and then they didn't, and now BYM's just, you know, feeding heroes away, and I don't quite understand what the hell is actually going on here, because Masakari's in full retreat. He's going to pull himself across the river, as Kiana and Synergy will bugger off out of trouble there. So yeah, BYM, never mind, Kiana jumps back in, he's going to try and go for Buffney, but the heal comes through just in time, and Kiana is now under attack by Come With Me. Do they have enough to actually finish him off? Illusionist does get the stun on to Come With Me, and they're going to try and take out the Storm Spirit. He goes down before anything else, as Kiana comes in with a well-timed toss. And Bobo, well, he's in the area as Kiana decides to jump ahead, but just not enough time on it.
Yeah, well, even more kills going the way of XPC, and the gold graph all of a sudden just spiking to over 5,000 net worth. I mean, this game could slowly just completely snowball from XPC, and BlowYourMind has to be careful about that. I mean, sure, they do have a lot of late game potential with the Luna, with the Wind Ranger, with the Storm Spirit, but I don't think XPC will want to give them that chance.
Yeah, I mean, the way XPC is playing is that they know, you know, that they peak relatively early, so they're going to try and do as much as they can. This burst is just blowing everybody apart. Kiana is on an absolute mission here, and Cancel tries TP and gets as much as he can done, as we hear the sound of a Io coming in, but he could just set himself up for a very, very painful death. As Illusionist comes in, stuns up Bobo, and with the help of Masakari, that'll be the end of him. BO3 is going to get caught out, jumps across the river as Masakari is going to try and hunt down BO3 here. Along comes Synergy from 8 miles away, and once again another usage of that Timber Chain will get him close enough, drops the ulti, and that'll be the end of the Luna. Come With Me, however, is caught out, tossed into the air, drops and dies off there. Cancel will be the last one left alive for BYM at the moment. Does he get anything further? The Timber Chain gets himself closer, does Masakari, and Cancel is now trying to juke around the trees. Kiana is in the area. The stun comes through, and that will be enough with Kiana getting the last hit there. And
this is slowly but surely just getting out of
contributing quite significantly, and about 5 heroes going down there over the course of that fight. That's pretty ridiculous, as they now start working on towers as well.
Yeah, well, let's have a quick look here. I mean, this game slowly but surely getting out of control here. 20-for-6 in regards with kills, 7,500 you know, net worth at around the 16-minute mark is quite significant. However, BlowYourMind did come back from a little bit worse than this in game number 2, so anything can happen. But we are going to see an engagement here onto Luna. Luna, of course, does have an Eclipse if she wants to use it. She decides against this. However, Kiano's in the back line, and there you go, big blink hit from the Slaughter. Good shackle shot coming through on Illusionist. Illusionist actually does drop. Luna doing quite a bit of damage there with her Lucid Beam coming through, and they do manage to get only the one pick off right now. Oh, the good stun, but instant deny on the Bloodstone by the Timbersaw. Yeah,
very, very quick play there by the Timbersaw, keeping himself, you know, away from the clutches of BYM by committing suicide, but a significant little loss there for XPC, and BYM is definitely going to use this, pick themselves up a tower. And I mean, XPC has to be very, very careful about the kind of fights that they're willing to just trade away, and it looks like they're actually going to take this fight here on the bot lane, as BO3 is going to get jumped on by Masakari.
Yeah, well, very well played there by the Wisp to actually get him out of that one alive. I mean, they probably would have lost a lot more. But the Wisp, well, I think Wisp is dead. Is anyone going to actually come close enough for him to tether? I do like this. Kiana is actually staying around here to make sure that no one comes close enough, you know, for Wisp to actually tether out and get out of that one alive. Good game sense, good game awareness coming through there by, you know, Kiana on the Tiny. And
yeah, very, very well played there. And I mean, maybe also just hoping against hope that somebody hangs around there, you can toss them back into the fight and, you know, get another free kill. Illusionist having a bit of a dance with two of the heroes from BYM in the mid lane, but not going to find anything.
yeah. Well, let's have a quick look here. Another, there's a crush straight onto the random range creep that's being sent up.
Yeah, so they are going to take themselves the tier 1 on the bot lane is side of XPC just to continue their farm, and these deep wards that they do have in the enemy jungle are really helping them with the kind of movement. So they know that they can get away with pushing the bot lane tower. There's going to be no contest. Maybe they try and push this tier 2 as well, but I think that's a lot less likely.
Well, a lot of vision being thrown out here by both teams. Dire ward in their own jungle, Radiant wards in the Dire jungle, Dire wards in the Radiant jungle. I mean, this is probably the most wards that I've actually seen in a very long time at around the 18-minute mark.
Yeah, well, I mean, the problem is that BYM is doing it so that they can prevent any sort of jump by the Tiny, and XPC is doing it so that they can prevent any sort of jump by the Storm Spirit. You know, it's basically just a game of who sees more, and right now it does appear as though they kind of cancel each other out. Nobody's been able to get any real pickoffs, but if things continue as they are, it looks as though BY might get backstabbed here. Synergy is in the area, as is the big rock man, and they're looking for something, but I don't think they're going to find anything right now.
No, probably not. Bottom lane, they're also looking for an engagement here onto Massacre. But I mean, I have to say this Timbersaw playing it quite well, sitting on top of the net worth chart right now. 8,400, does have 8 charges up on his Bloodstone. Of course, did use the deny. Does have his blink up already. So even though the Bloodstone was nerfed, it's still, I mean, it still works, especially if you can get it up this early and have so many charges on it.
Yeah, I mean, look, the Bloodstone is mostly nerfed in the additional stuff that it provides, and Council's actually going to get caught out here. He doesn't even make it to the ground before dying, as Timbersaw will get the final hit there.
Yeah. Well, let's have a look. With the Windrunner being down, I mean, Windrunner is a very long way off her Ags. The item progression coming through here from the side of you know, BlowYourMind is just taking its time. I mean, the only person that really has anything is the Luna.
Yeah, I mean, the problem for BYM is that, like, even with the Luna having a tiny bit of items, what does she really contribute? She's going to get attacked so quickly and blown apart so fast because she doesn't have a BKB. Now, yes, she's gone for that Sanj to try and buff up, but she's got 1,300 HP, and that's the major problem for all of the BYM heroes, is that none of them are really tanky in any way. I mean, I think the Luna actually has the highest HP on the entire side. Now, how often do you hear that about a Luna?
Well, let's have a look here. There's a good vacuum, good wall, huge wall coming through right now. That's 2 heroes down instantly. Unfortunately, Wind Ranger also just gets dropped. I think this might be the beginning of the end. Bone7 does manage to get out of that one alive. A little bit of lags coming through. Come With Me does get a pick off on top. Oh, no. She's going to die as well. Does manage to get 1 pick off, but that's 4 heroes down for the price of 1. I mean, huge vacuum wall coming through there from the dogs here.
Yeah, and I was just like, oh, there's heroes in close proximity, let me just stun toss everybody. And it was pretty much the Tiny's dream scenario, and I mean, they lose 4 in the end. Their BYM will definitely not be happy about trying to take that fight, as they do still lose the tier 2 in the end. Looks like they could very well just end up losing Roshan, so massive plays there by XPC, helped by an interesting decision by BYM to decide to try to take that fight.
I honestly think that just all came down to the dogs here. They were caught off a little off guard on top of their own tower, feeling safe. But with the dogs here, I mean, the dogs here has his blink up. Not quite sure. I don't think he had his blink at the fight. I actually didn't check. But having that blink dagger up, managing to blink in, vacuum wall straight in. I mean, you're never safe with a blink initiating Tiny, with a blink initiating dogs here, blink initiating Slardar, and we mentioned XPC not having enough stuns in the second game. Well, they have a lockdown with the Tiny, double lockdown with the Bane, lockdown with the Slardar, and disable with the vacuum on the dogs here. I think they have enough in game number 3.
Yeah, I mean, they learned their lesson in game 2, and they're not going to repeat it this time. And unfortunately, BYM, I mean, they haven't gone too greedy, I don't think. Oh, the courier, if it gets caught out here, there we go. XPC gets it, and that is actually quite a bit of money on that courier as well. That, I think, was Tiny's Ags. No, sorry, not Tiny's Ags. That, who's... Wait a minute, whose was that?
Don't know, let's quickly have a look here. What happens if you press, how can I click on the courier? I keep on forgetting the command.
I can't remember how to click on the courier for the
What is
teams.
that?
Like, I've done it before, but I don't.
I know. I
remember
like
right
always
now,
forget
so.
about that. But we'll have a look to actually see what's what was in the courier when it actually does come back. I don't think that was the Sanjay Yasha for the Luna, because Luna does have Blades of Alacrity up again. Let's quickly have a look here. That actually might have been Storm Spirit's Bloodstone.
Yeah, that seems logical. Yeah, the recipe plus the health booster. Yeah, that's what it was. So yeah, big item for them to lose there as Io gets caught out in the bot lane and finished off. But I mean, BYM, even with that, Bloodstone doesn't really help all that much. I mean, it's not an item that provides any significant damage or significant sustainability. Yes, it does give a decent amount at the beginning, but with the speed at which he gets, just blown apart, it's really not helping any of his teammates right now.
No, I honestly prefer an Orchids up on that Storm to actually get into the backlines, take out the Bane or take out the Tiny or even the freaking Timbersaw. I mean, the Orchids I think would have been a lot better. But we do see a movement here up onto the Undying on top lane. I think Undying is dead. Blink in, stun, toss combo. I mean, XPC could just do this all day long, but I think they will most likely want to move into Rosh and, well, after this tier 2, and then after that possibly try and go for a high ground pick.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're probably waiting for Tiny to complete his Ags, which he does not have, and then they'll be a little bit more interested in starting to work on the towers and probably Rosh. I mean, for now, they'll continue, as you said, they'll do this all day long. I mean, if they're going to get given 50 kills, they'll take 50 kills if it takes that long. So, just probably looking for a last couple of items before they do eventually go high ground.
Well, let's have a look here at, I mean, Windrunners all the way here up on the top lane, trying to push out. Still around the 2,000 gold off her Ags. Will that Ags really make that big of a difference?
I suppose if she got the Ags for the full duration of a fight, it could make a difference. But I don't know how much of a difference it's going to make right now in the situation that she finds herself. Keanu is going to miss the stun there. He does realize that Come With Me is on very, very low mana and might not be able to make his way out of trouble here. He's going to get caught out as the rest of the team fight does break out now. And Synergy will get off another good back wall combo. And they have Tiny coming in over the top to do as much damage as they can. Boba is going to get caught out by the ulti from the Bane. Bone 7, however, will get the kill on the back play with Darkseer, and that'll just signal his retreat as down goes Buffney. Oh, yeah, there he does go now. And caught out, finished off, and that'll be 3 for 1 in the end, only losing the Darkseer on the side of XPC.
Yeah, I mean, huge fight coming through from XPC. I mean, have a look at the net worth quickly. 14,000 net worth advantage at 26 minutes in the game. It's extremely significant. And BlowYourMind, to be honest, I'm struggling to think how they can come back from this, because XPC is just going to stay together the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, XPC is basically just a roaming death squad. Every time they catch one of BYM or more, I mean, it's just like, okay, everybody goes and you just blow them apart. And that's the thing, is that they have enough lockdown to control the whole of BYM. BYM doesn't actually have any items to survive through the lockdown, and it's that simple. XPC just walks over them, and poor old BYM can't really do anything to contest right now.
Yeah, so I was just laughing at the Twitch chat. The guys are saying, Reddit's commended. I'm like, yeah, commend me. But, I mean, I just quickly want to go through the item progression here quickly. Tiny sitting on Blink, Ags, as well as Aegis. You won't be able to kill the Tiny off alone anytime soon. Timbersaw sitting on Boots of Travel. Will have his BKB up right now. 16 charges on his Bloodstone. Bane, Bane sitting on a Glimmer Cape. I mean, you never expect Bane to really have that much, anyway.
Yeah, I mean, you don't need him to have that much. If you get Blink Dagger, you're like sorted. That's about all we need of you. Blink Dagger and Glimmer Cape, and you're pretty much good to go.
Slardar having the Blink Dagger up, working towards that 4-staff. I mean, being a support Slardar, really doing a lot here. Darkseer has full Greaves up, Blink up, going towards that. Most likely the Shiva's Guard up on the Darkseer. I mean, these are big items that XPC has. On the side of BlowYourMind, Luna has the Sanjay Yasha, which is actually quite significant. It does give her quite a little bit more survivability in this lane while they're actually busy pushing the bottom lane. Wisp has Boots Bottle and of course Urn. Wind Ranger still 600 away from Ags. Undying having only a buckler up, and Storm Spirit not doing too badly, having that Bloodstone. So it's just very difficult for BlowYourMind to actually fight. It's not because they're being out-leveled or anything. It's about the items are just too far ahead for some XPC. But you do see an engagement coming through now. Massacre is actually coming in with his Boots of Travel. Unfortunately, they have dropped the Tombstone. Tombstone's already down though, and that's quite big because there's no Tombstone. That means, well, Shackle unfortunately not latching onto Massacre either. This is, I think, a lane of rats. If not,
yeah, it's
not
definitely a lane of rats, yeah.
Well, let's have a look at the vacuum into wall. Only land onto Come With Me. Come With Me, unfortunately, not having any buyback. Slaughter does get Nightmare up right now. It's only a 1-for-0 kind of trade-off. I'm not quite sure if they can try and take this fight. Maybe wait for the Storm Spirit to actually come back. And they do decide to back off.
Storm Spirit's going to be back in 20 seconds, so they've already lost the lane of racks, and I mean, at that point, if XPC just backs off, looks for the next, you know, the next objective, and they'll start pushing that out. I mean, maybe they go bottom, maybe they go mid, but for the moment, BYM survive for another 5 minutes, but XPC I don't think are going to be, you know, keeping them alive too long. They'll definitely be looking for the finishing blow here, and I mean, BYM at this stage. You were saying it earlier. It's not that the experience is just low. It's pure item advantage, and XPC is just brutally exposing that item advantage at every single opportunity.
Well, this is a big one coming up now for the Luna. The BKB is up now. Of course, Bane's ultimate does go through that, but if Bane's busy ulting someone else, or if Bane's actually been taken care of, this BKB could be quite significant, especially up against the lineup of XPC. So we can't throw BlowYourMind out, you know, out the window just yet.
No, I mean, look, I'd say it's incredibly difficult for them to come back at this point. It really isn't likely that they're going to win, but they still can do it. I mean, they take 2-3 good fights, maybe a team wipe or two, and XPC could very well find themselves in significant amount of problems because Tiny is not invincible. I mean, we were saying that he's going to be very difficult to bring down, but he can still be brought down. It's just XPC. If BYM catches XPC in parts, you know, like two heroes and then 3 heroes, they could definitely win the fights. But they can't afford to take them, 4 or 5 at once. So that's never going to help. They're never going to survive that kind of engagement.
Assault Curious also nearly up here for the Tiny. Of course, he still does have Aegis. The side of BlowYourMind trying to kind of push out the top lane as much as possible. Are we going to see any kind of initiation coming through? The Shackle actually is there onto the Tiny, but does not latch onto anyone else. The TPs are coming in. They want to fight this, and unfortunately, well, that's actually going to be a full 5-on-5 fight. They do decide to go into the Tiny. Tiny's Aegis does get dropped, but the BKB is up there from the Luna right now. The vacuum into war actually does catch 2. Are they actually going to be able to grab anyone right now? It's looking very good for BlowYourMind. Unfortunately, they've just lost 2. They are going to lose 3, and that is just from the Timbersaw coming in, managing to get 2 pickoffs on the backline. And I mean, the Luna BKB caught them all, by surprise a little bit, but after that wore off, they just decided to jump straight back in. The Bane ultimate wasn't actually used on the Luna right there. Oh, good Shackle. It's just there's no buyback on the Luna, so there's no buyback on the Undying. I think this might actually be game. There's a big dive in coming through from Come With Me. They're actually trying to go for the Tiny. They do manage to get that pick off. The Nightmares there is used onto the Wind Ranger. Wind Ranger's using Windwalk, trying to draw them away, trying to draw the entire team away from the creeps and away from the racks. I really do like him. Trying to TP out. Unfortunately, it's not going to be enough. Luna will be back in around 15 seconds, but Luna Wisp, I'm not sure they can actually do anything about this.
Yeah, and Dying's back as well, and maybe Storm Spirit can try to do something. He's going to zip in here and he's going to see if he can grab anybody. It might be just Massacre left. He's actually going to slept up at precisely the worst time for them to try and get a kill. But it might be grabbing Synergy, or do they... Well, fights are breaking down here pretty quickly. Bobo is going to get his brain eaten somehow. And Come With Me as well as Bufni are going to get caught out there by the stuns from the Slaughter. Razvan comes in. He's going to sleep up Bone 7, and he's now going to Glimmer Cape his way to safety with the rest of his team on the way out, but he's going to get caught out and should be the final trade after all of this.
Well, I mean, that did cost them a Wind Ranger buyback, and especially since the Wind Ranger does not really have that much, that many items. Well, nearly no item progression except for the Aghanim Scepter up. They did, however, manage to save their racks.
Yeah, I mean, it's a slight dent in XPC, but the problem is that XPC still you know, I mean, in the end, they still scale a lot better than BYM. So, I mean, BYM, you know, saves the day for the moment. They had a lot more of this, and again, very, very good play by them to survive that long. But it did cost them a little bit. You know, there's a buyback on the Wind Ranger in the end. Didn't really get anything out of it. And Come With Me is still showing, you know, he's just worryingly unimpactful in these fights at the moment.
Well, BO3's in the enemy jungle right now. They do actually scout about. Will he be able to? Well, he does have a TP if he actually just wants to use it right now. Or he decides to get out
Cost
of
his
there.
eye or his life.
Yeah, it's like, Wisp, you're dead. Not quite sure. Maybe they should have used the BKB TP, but of course, not knowing if Bane was there or not.
Well,
of course.
Cancel's moving in. Maybe Cancel gets himself to safety. He does, in fact, land it. And Bobo will get thrown in the stun, so they might end up trading a little bit more. Bobo, well, I mean, valiant attempt to escape, but it's not going to work today.
Yeah. Well, Wisp is down. That's okay. You do manage to keep your Luna alive, and of course, you know, Come With Me on the Wind Ranger. Not Come With Me. Cancel on the Wind Ranger. Trying to help out his buddy there. But they're going straight onto the tier 3s right now. Of course, there's no creeps right yet, so not really going to do much. And I mean, BO3 is just constantly farming up, constantly pushing and split pushing. I mean, you know, keeping even on net worth with the Tiny. I have to say, it's very, very, very well played by him.
Yeah, I mean, he's doing as much as he can, but the problem is that even though he's you know, keeping up with the Tiny isn't even the biggest worry for BYM at the moment, just because, like, there's 2 heroes above the Tiny's net worth, and I mean, somehow that is in fact the freaking Undying. I'm sorry, not the Undying, the Darkseer and the Timbersaw. I mean, like, it's very, very rare to see those heroes above the Tiny. Obviously, Tiny doesn't have the help of the IO, but he performs a hell of a lot quicker than those two.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Shiva's God being picked up here by the Darkseer. Going for that Ring of Hell, so most likely going, you know, building towards that refresher. I mean, he's been getting insane vacuum war combinations, and if he can do that with a refresher, I think just one combo from him should be enough to secure the game.
Yeah, I mean, he got that four man, which pretty much broke the back of BYM in the mid lane there, and I mean, he hasn't gotten anything as spectacular as that, but certainly everyone that he's gotten has really hampered the side of BYM. And poor old BO3, yeah, once again, just it's just like, you know, Power Rangers arrive and just blow you apart before you can do anything.
Yeah, Undying, of course, trying to stay alive as long as possible. The Wisp is also going to pay his life here. Wisp trying to... Well, there you go. Paying his life right now. Wisp was probably like half a second too late to actually try and save the Luna. But, I mean, even preemptively casting, I think Luna still would have died. The buyback was used now by the Luna, and a big dive in coming through here by the Storm Spirit. But unfortunately, Bane just, you know, speed gripping him up. There's a vacuum, there's a wall, another buyback coming through by the Storm Spirit, trying to go in, trying to do as much damage as possible. BO3 has come in with a very good eclipse, but unfortunately, it's just not doing enough. That's 3 heroes down for the side of BYM, as well as 2 buybacks, and no one has dropped from XPC.
Yeah, well, somehow them has actually kept their racks, their racks are allowed for the moment. Much longer though. But I mean, it almost feels like I'm watching like an episode of Dragon Ball Z. Everything just like appears on the screen, you know, in like half a second with all these blink daggers, and somebody just gets blown apart before you even really know what's going on. And then it's like, you know, it's like Goku and Vegeta having this massive ass fight where it's just all sorts of crazy explosions and stuff, and then somebody dies at the end without really knowing why.
Well, Rosh is going to come up just now. He like runs in, Rosh is not there, runs out, runs back in, Rosh is back. And I think this
luckily timed there for Illusionist, and the rest of his team doesn't seem all that keen on helping him, so they're like, it's your problem to solve, and Illusionist, well, not anymore, he's just going to back out of there. So Rosh gets some time to himself, maybe a little bit healthier after a while, as Come With Me decides to jump in there and just check what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, basically XPC still, you know, respecting the side of BlowYourMind enough. Well, actually no, on that note, the Sheep 6 there onto the Wind Ranger, and Wind Ranger not even being able to use the Wind Run to get out of that one, and that's going to be Undying dropping as well. I think this might just be game right now. Yeah, they're like saying, screw Rosh, we're just going straight in for the racks, and just look at the amount of damage that, you know, Tiny actually, very, very far, you know, throw in on the Timbersaw toss. But this is going to be the first full lane of racks, or second full lane of racks, I mean, for the side of XPC, and I think they might just go bottom. This is Megas.
Yeah, definitely Megas here, and BOM can't really do anything but watch as they're going to try and make the last stand, but I think this is pretty much the end of the fight.
Well, vacuum ball into two heroes once again on the top lane. On the bottom side, the Storm Spirit did go in very deep. BO7 does cast his BKB, but Bane just comes through and says, Fiend's Grip, who's it? And well played. GG, well played. Blow Your Mind being kicked out. XPC, I think it was a 27% chance win for them. So extremely well played. Lots of people will be very happy with the Bugattis they've won. Other people would have lost a lot of Bugattis. And from my side, I really enjoyed casting these games. I just think Blow Your Mind, they won the group stages or the preliminary stages. They got their choice of who they wanted to go up against. They said, give us XPC, which was rated second. I'm pretty sure that's coming back to haunt them right now. Prof, what are your final thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I mean, BYM just showed an almost like their drafting wasn't up to scratch this entire series. I mean, game one we said very, very greedy. Game two, you know, they still had issues in the early game, but game three they were never really at the races, and that's the major worry here, is that they just haven't shown the ability to dominate the early stages. And if you're going to pick drafts like you do, you got to expect to at the very least do something in the lanes. And when you're getting wrecked as badly as you did in all three, it really comes back to bite you when you don't have the late game to carry you through. So XPC this game not making the mistakes that they did in game two, and you know, pulling through there, making certain that they were so far ahead there's nothing that BYM can do. It's going to be an interesting game though, because tomorrow XPC goes up against the Refugees. And Refugees have not shown the best early games either, so I wonder if they didn't just watch the series tonight and make a little bit of notes and you know, start saying that maybe they should work on their early game a little bit more.
Yeah, no, definitely. And it's going to be it's going to be an intense matchup, but it's a best out of 5. So even if you lose the first 2, you can always come back if you can read your opponents and actually know what they're doing, and you do have plans to, you know, counter them. So best out of 5 tomorrow, guys. Stay tuned for that. It is going to be insane. It is 12:30 here. Well, you know, 00:30 in the morning. So we're probably going to be getting some sleep right now. Probably, well, first going to grab something to eat. Then we're going to be grabbing something, well, you know, some sleep after that. Hopefully, I'll feel a lot better as well tomorrow morning or tomorrow afternoon when we actually do cast. It's going to be a best out of 5, and I'm really looking forward to casting it. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys. Thanks so much for, you know, to Esports Addicts, to, you know, Cryonics, Light of Minds as well. Well, especially Cryonics for allowing us to cast, Cotton Eye Joe, Light of Minds. Just giving shout outs to a lot of the guys on stream right now, especially Pinzama CZ stream. You know, he's been sticking around for quite a while. Shout outs to everyone else that I've forgotten. I'm Reddit. Joining me was Prophecy. Check us out on @RedditDota and @Prophecy Gaming, guys. Really do appreciate the support and all the positive feedback you guys have been giving us. Tomorrow will just be better. Best out of 5. And yeah, on that note, we will see you tomorrow. I think it is at either 4 or 6 p.m. CEST. I think it's 1800 CST. I might be mistaken. Well, check you guys then. Cheers.